Andi the Knittress, and this is my little show where I like to show you everything that I have done with yarn, fiber, wool, etc. I noticed that I've had quite a few new followers lately. Message down below and let me know where you're coming from so I can just, thank whoever's mentioned me. You can find me on the internets, Instagram, Andi the Knittress, Ravelry, Andi the Knittress. You're already here at my YouTube. So thank you for following. Those that are new and those that have been here, you've stuck around with this crazy. So I've got a whole lot today. I usually film about once a month. It tends to work with my schedule. Sometimes it's a little longer than that, but so I guess I'll start with what I'm wearing. This isn't a newly finished object. This is from last year, but it's spooky season, so this is a pattern by Megan Reagan. Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits, and I can't remember exactly the name of the pattern. I'll put the words on there, but I love this sweater. I wear it all the time. It's rather pilly because I used Knit Picks palette, which is a loosely plied yarn, to make this, and so therefore it kind of gets pretty pilly. I've got a little bit of felting in some spots, but I don't care because I love it nonetheless, and they had a great color palette for me to work with at a price that I could afford at that time. So just, make with what you can get your hands on. But I just love this. It says boo. Oh, well, I guess it would go that way. And then I've got my little ghosts and my little pumpkins, and I just did like a little alternating those colors throughout the bottom. And this is a cropped sweater because I like to wear cropped sweaters over long tank tops and dresses and such. Okay, where should we start? Let's start with some finished objects. So I have been working on these mittens. These are oh, I forgot to show a finished object last time, and I will pop in a picture because it did get mailed off to its recipient, and it was called the Max Hat by Cricket Knits, and it was made out of, I made it out of Haiku Simply Natural, which is just a very squishy, like alpaca silk merino blend. It had a really odd construction for the hat, but follow the pattern. Don't think you know better than the pattern, because I thought I did know better than the pattern, and I didn't. I should have just followed the pattern. But it was really super cute, and I had fun making that. So then, now I will show you these mittens I've been working on. These are the Cat Nouveau, I think is how you say it, mitts by Jacqueline Riviera. I love this pattern. It's so cute. It's got reversible charts. I made mine out of Malabrigo sock, and then these two are Anzula Squishy, which has a touch of cashmere in it, super soft. So that's the front side, and there's the back side, and these are a gift for a friend of mine. Now, I don't know if you can notice it, maybe not so much on the cat side, but definitely on the palm side, that I held my yarn, dominant yarn, different on each glove. Not purposely, simply because I forgot which one was the dominant yarn. So there is a difference. I used to think there wasn't much of a difference between holding a dominant yarn, but in something like this pattern, you can definitely see the black stands out a lot more than the gray. And then on the cat side, just the one cat looks a little fluffier than that cat. So it's like an optical illusion. He's got like a fluffier tail, but they're still really, really cute. And I had a good time knitting these, and then I just did my traditional ways of carrying my floats on these. And because I made those for a friend of mine, I had to make a pair for myself, which my pair are not finished yet, but I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit and show you, because while I'm talking about these mittens, I don't want to, well, they're mitts, they're not mittens. I don't want to go back and talk about them again. But I learned a new technique for carrying your floats. So I wanted to share it with you. It's called jacquard ladder backing. And if you are a machine knitter, you would be familiar with this. And so what it does, so this is I didn't do it here because there were not stitches there that needed to be carried, but what it does is it carries all your floats kind of like it's like spider webby in there. So what you do is, if you would have to catch your float like on the 5th stitch, so you're knitting 5 stitches in, say, the black, and then you needed to switch to green, you would create a purl stitch and you'd bring both of your yarns to the front. You would purl the stitch with the one that you want hidden, then put both of your yarns to the back and continue on following your chart. And what that does is it creates this little chain of color that goes up the inside of the work. And then when I flip it this way to show you, there are no floats that would pop through and that you would see. Like, so if I were to stretch this glove, you could sometimes see where the floats catch. Like right here, there's a silver float. Sometimes you can see like the stitch pop through. I don't have, I guess, a really great example because it's pretty even, but sometimes it's hard to not let your floats show on the front when you have long color sections that you would have to carry them in. But this one, there is absolutely no way that it's going to pop through and you're going to see where that color is, because it was just like a row of purl stitches that was created. And I don't know that I'll do it again. I mean, I will do it for the other mittens so that they're the same. I don't know if I'd ever do it again on mittens, but definitely on a colorwork sweater like this, where I have a long section of floats in between, or some of the other patterns that I have, I would definitely do that jacquard ladder backing in between there. But this one will be mine. And these yarns are colors that my husband dyed for me here in Colors Dye Works. They're not available in his shop, but I was like, I just need some pretty mittens in purple and green and black. So I really thought that that was really interesting. It kind of blew my mind when I came across it. I don't remember exactly who had posted, but somebody had posted that they did a sweater on Instagram with jacquard ladder backing. I think it was the Alaska sweater that they were working on. And I have done the Alaska hat, and this would have totally helped in the Alaska hat, because you have these big, tall pine trees that are separated by the background, the sky in the background, and they just get further and further apart. So this technique would have totally helped in that. But I just think it's cool, like this little web that it creates back here. I don't know if it exists, but I want to do a sweater where this is on the inside and then it could be reversible. So like it would look like a solid color on the outside of the sweater, and then on the inside you have this surprise spider webbing that just maybe goes down the whole yoke. It maybe already exists, but if it doesn't, it needs to, because it's just like churning in my brain. So those are that. The other thing that I finished is quite a few socks. You know, cranked on my sock machine. I know it gets a little boring after a while seeing a bunch of socks, but you know, I've just made a few pair. They're all pretty similar short socks. These are all for my husband, except for this pair is mine. Last month I showed a pair and I said that the color was Coffee Break, and it wasn't. It was called Ribbit. This is Coffee Break, and I ran out of yarn with the because this was a Felice and this is 50 grams. I did this with 50 grams and I ran out right here where you see this dark brown. So had I not done a rolled, a hung hem cuff, and I would have just done a rolled cuff, I could have gotten one sock for me out of one skein of Felice, because they come in 50 gram skeins. But this one, I didn't run out. How weird is that? Same specs. Or maybe I did. I might have lowered it one row in this section so that I wouldn't run out. I think maybe that's what I did. This is Crater Lake by Knitted Wit on her Victory sock. These are for my husband. And this is Mazama that is dyed by Here in Colors Dye Works, which Mazama is the mountain that Crater Lake sits on. So he's got two Crater Lake themed socks there. And then this is a jaw wool color sock that I made for him. I just love the way this kind of turned out. It's pretty awesome. And then this is Knit Picks Hawthorne. This yarn is a very thick yarn. If you have a sock machine and you want to use this yarn, it's pretty thick. I think there's 357 yards to 100 grams, so it's a dense yarn. As well as the Victory sock, the Knitted Wit Victory sock is a pretty thick sock weight yarn. I would maybe almost classify these both as a thin sport weight. So those are the socks that I've completed, and then I was playing around on my sock machine and I learned that you could put it at half pitch with your ribber. So that just basically means instead of having your ribber lined up with the cylinder to where, you know, the stitches would be right, they would go right over where a cylinder stitch was, you turn it half pitch so that it would go in between them. So then you could double your stitches. So I did this and I made a hat. This hat was made on my circular sock machine. I just cranked a tube, and so it's 1x1 rib. And this is Alexander Art of Yarn, Local Yarn Store Day Color 2019. And I made this cool hat. I thought that that was pretty neat that I could make a hat on my sock machine. Now, it definitely took some patience, because I had to crank really, really slow and make sure every stitch caught. And I did drop a few stitches, but I just went back and fixed them at the end. I did a manual tubular bind off on here, and then I just cinched. So when I started it, I did a few rows of just plain knit, and then I did a row where I added half of the ribber needles in, and then the next row I added the other half. So I did every other one, and then the next row I added the ones in between. And so that kind of gave it this little bit of section here where there's like a gap, a gappy hole. But this is the part that I just cinched in for the top, and it's a really long beanie that you can fold up. You can wear it slouchy. I just thought that that was pretty cool. And I learned about half pitch from, you know, talking to people in the circular sock machine community. Everybody is pretty friendly, at least they always have been. Every time that I reach out and ask a question, people are always willing to share their knowledge. I think that as makers, we just want everybody to feel the joy that we feel when we make. So if you have questions, just reach out and ask somebody. They're most likely going to be happy to help you. So the next thing that I finished was another scrappy scarf. And this one, I loosened the tension a whole bunch on. I think I made it as loose as I could possibly go. And I think I ended up with like 5.5 inches wide here for this scrappy scarf. So we've got lots of leftovers. This is some leftover Crater Lake. This is some K-pop. This is Autumn. This is some Trilogy yarns, and I can never remember the name of the color. There's Mazama. This yarn. This is Fairy Tale Knits Gumdrop Forest. I love the way that yarn turned out. I made myself a pair of socks, and I don't think I've shown them to you, but they're probably in the laundry. And then this is Knitty Bow Fiber Co. and some leftover Pretty Twisted yarns. But you know, it's just a fun loopy infinity scarf. This one I actually made for my husband because he's fond of all of these colors, but I'll probably steal it and wear it sometimes. So the other thing that I've finished is I've recently learned how to tat. And tatting is basically you're making knots on string. And you have, it looks like a really long darning needle. And I have a little one that I got in a couple of different sizes. So they just look like really long darning needles. So there's a hole on this side here. And you thread some yarn, or I used like crochet thread through one end, and then you make a big loop, and then you tie like E-loops. You do an E-loop in one direction and then an E-loop in another direction, and that's one double stitch. And you tie them all on there, and then you follow these patterns, which looked like the same time I ever looked at a crochet pattern or a knitting pattern, where it's like K1, SS2, you know, SSK2, TOG, etc. Like it kind of threw me aback when I first learned how to knit. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to understand what they're saying. But after you get used to it, you know, it's not so hard. So my friend at work, Megan, she taught me how, and I did this little pattern, and basically it's just like, it'll say 6, and that means do 6 stitches. And then it'll have like a dash or a P, like to make a picot. And I made this cute little pumpkin. I just think it's so adorable, and I don't know if it'll focus enough. Probably not, because this is just my cell phone. But these are just little knots tied around. So these knots are all tied around this string, and then you just start in the center and you do a loop, and then you join it, and then you go this way and join it and go that way, and it's just a really fun, cute little skill I've learned. So another new hobby. I'm going to take this, I think it was for an earring pattern, but I'm not going to make it be an earring because I have gauges. I don't wear earrings. But I'm going to sew these on. I have a jean jacket. I'm going to sew a bunch of different tatted things to. It'd be like kind of like little embroidery patches, but like I made them. And so then I was learning how to do a bat, and I only got about half of it done. Let's see. You can see there's the body, And there's the wonky little wing. And I have to sew on my end still, and I have to do the other wing. But I will, let's see, there we use my face as a backdrop. So there's the one wing, and there's the body, and then I'll do the other wing. And then I'll sew that onto the jean jacket as well. And I thought, oh, okay, this is pretty easy to follow these patterns. Let's see if I can freeform and make something out of this. It didn't work very well. I was trying to do a spider web because I couldn't find a pattern for a spider web that I liked. And the only way I can show this to you is I have put it over an ornament. And it looks like a spider web on this ornament, but I was trying to do it flat, but it is a very curved spider web. So I've got a little bit more to learn before I can just freeform tat. But I mean, this will be cool to hang on my Christmas tree. Cool little spider web ornament. I don't know. I'm having fun. I love learning new things. I like having skills under my belt to maybe help people with the problems that I've had. So that's fun. My friend Megan at work, she taught me how to do that. She also showed me about gesso transferring. And she learned that in art class, and I'm so jealous I never learned it in my art class. But you basically, you can buy gesso stuff. I think it's paint, essentially, but it was acrylic paint. And you paint it on something, and then you take a piece of paper that you printed out, and you put it on there. And then, you know, paint the edges down a little bit. You want to make sure that this is really wet with the paint. Put the picture on there, paint like the edges down so they don't curl up, and then you wait 24 hours or more until it's dry. And then you take a little bit of water and you kind of rub off the paper, but not too much, and then it leaves an image behind. So I took a bunch of pictures of yarn and put them on a pack of notebooks that I bought from Amazon. And so you can see here and here, you know, I rubbed a little too hard and it's gone through the image, but it's cool. It's all about this whole look. And I've got some of the white paint on the bindings of the book here. So I made a few of them with some pictures I took, and it's like so fun. And so I have myself some little composition notebooks that are all fun and yarn themed. You can put anything, like anything you take a picture of that's like a highly saturated picture, you can put it on there. And the first one that I did, I messed up a little bit. It wasn't wet enough. So the image didn't transfer, but it still looks cool. Like I could put other things here, I could doodle, put like little stickers or something, I don't know. But it's just a fun way to jazz up. You could do it on a notebook, you can do it on a dresser, she was telling me. You could do it on anything. Like you would want to seal it if you put it on a piece of furniture. But a notebook, I don't need to seal this with anything, but it's called Gesso transferring, and it was so fun. So, you know, now I have cool little notebooks that I can put notes in. We'll see if I actually stick with it, because I tend to not. I get notebooks and I write in them for a little while and then I misplace them. But, so that's a fun finished object that I had also. And then the next thing I have to show you, I got like a lot of stuff this month. I have done so much. I started making little dolls on my circular sock machine. And I'm just so happy. It's so cute. So I got the idea because I was on Ravelry, and there is so there was a pattern called Cozy Izzy Dolls by Esther Braithwaite, and because of that pattern, like I think she has a free version of it, but it's basically a tube that you stitch together in a certain way, and then you stuff it and you have a doll. So I just started with a toe on my circular sock machine, cranked up in a skin color for the legs, cranked up in another color for some undergarments. I did a rolled top for this dress. So I did it like I was going to do a rolled top sock, but I just added extra rows. Then I hung that together because that's how you do it, and then I just did some striping for this shirt, and then I went into the face color and then the hair color, and then at the hair color I did it into a toe. So then I stitched together front to back on the legs here, stuff the legs, stitch together front to back for these two little arm sections, cinch together pick up all of these stitches around the bottom of the face color, pulled them in tight, stuff the head, Kitchenered that together, and then I used a crochet hook and pulled some hair through and made this cute little doll. They're just adorable. I really like them. I have like a tutorial video on how I made them on my circular sock machine, and also how I sewed them together. So if you don't have a circular sock machine and you just knit a tube in the certain colors, you can watch my video and you see how you sew them together to get this shaping. So I've then made a few others. I made a little elf. I just went in with like a little pointed hat. I think she needs a little pom-pom on the end of there that I still need to do. Did shoe color, some cuffs, did pants, belt, same thing. And so I've made basically a whole little village here of people. This was the first one I did. I didn't have any regular skin tones at the time. I mean, I had brown, but I wanted to use it for the hair, and I could have done a little brown person, but I decided to just use the pink to see what that looked like. And so this is the first guy I made. He kind of reminds me of like Mr. Bill. I don't know. So then I made this little old gentleman, gave him a little beard with some little fringes. He's just got some jeans on and a red shirt. Flip it around that way. He looks like he's got a mullet, like Johnny Bow over there at Knitty Bow Fiber Co. He's got like a little silver mullet. I also made this cute little pumpkin guy, and I think that there is, let's see, so there is patterns to make comfort dolls on the circular sock machine, and it's by Vunesky. So if you wanted to purchase a pattern, she has some patterns for comfort dolls. They're not exactly the way that I do mine, but if you want a pattern exactly, you can look them up on Ravelry. They may be available elsewhere. I would just Google, comfort doll, circular sock machine, or CSM, and that would help you. But so I made this little pumpkin guy, kind of in a similar fashion. Started with the shoes, did the pants, did the shirt. This was a hung hem, just like I did for the dress. Did it a little short. Picked up all the stitches and cinched it in so it would be ruffly. And then I did an all orange head, and then I double duplicate stitched the face on, and then I just took some yarn and ran it around the head there and ran it up through the center of the head and cinched it in so it would be shaped like a pumpkin. And then I knit Ni-cord and I sewed that on for his little overalls, and then put some fringes on there so he would look like he was like a stuffed scarecrow pumpkin. He's so cute. I just love him. And so that started me on the Halloween ones. And so I then did a Bride of Frankenstein. Gave her a little dress. She has no panties on. And just did an I-cord and sewed that on for her little white stripe in her hair. So I did the Bride of Frankenstein, and I had to make her a Frankenstein's monster to go with him. And I just used safety eyes for the bolts on the neck, and I just didn't shove them in all the way. Did a little stitch up there. This I just didn't taper it into a toe as much. I just did a couple of rows and then went back and Kitchenered that together. So then I did Dracula, and I gave him a little cape with a little collar. So this I made on the circular sock machine as well. I did that with flat knitting, which isn't the fastest going thing, but it's still faster than hand knitting. And then I just kind of stitched it to around where his neck is, and then I duplicate stitched a widow's peak for him there. And she's not done yet because I haven't filled in her hair because I got bored of doing that. But I made a Mrs. Dracula, and I've got her first row of hair in. I've got to do the rest of her hair on there. But did her little widow's peak, got her dress done. She kind of looks weird with her hair right now, but you get the idea. And so then I made this little mushroom guy. It's just a tube. I mattress stitched a dart in right here, so it was a straight tube, and I mattress stitched in a dart to taper it in. And he's stuffed with rice so he can sit on his own. And I did a dart on that side as well, cinched in the head. Had this right here. I just did a whip stitch around the whole base of where the red met the white to kind of give it like a little mushroom cap look, and then I duplicate stitched some spots on there so it kind of looks like what is his name, like Toad from the Mario thing. I don't know, but I just think he's adorable. I think he needs a little moss vest. I don't know, he's just cute. He's just gonna sit on my shelf and just be cute. So I have a whole village of people that I've made, and I love them, and they're squishy, and they're all stuffed with wool because I have extra wool, but you can stuff them with polyfill. I often stuff my dolls with yarn scraps, and then this one has rice in it. Well, it's rice in up to here. So those are all my finished objects. I have lots of whips. I'm still working on, I showed you my mittens that I'm working on. I have the other mitten to cast on. I have my Vertices Unite has been my main whip. That's the one that I have been working on the most. And it felt like section 3 took forever. And now I'm into section 4. Gotta untie this. I have this tubey stuff that I saw on Chevy Rell's podcast and a couple of other places. Just like a little hollow tube for waste yarn. But this is the massiveness so far. Oh, I'm going to tie that one so we can see it. So there's my section 1. And my section 2, there is section 3 that took forever, and now I am on section 4, right here. So section 4 will go to this point, and then I'll do, wait, 1, 2, 3. This was section 4. I'm on section 5. I can count. I promise. So, section 3. This was section 4. Didn't take very long to do that at all. And then now I am on section 5. And then I will go into section 6, which will complete the corner of this triangle. And then I will have the massive feet of the I-cord bind off for that. So I'm so behind on that. I did not make it in time at all for entering the Fiber Hustle make along for that. But I don't know why I can't. Shawls for some reason take me forever. Maybe it's because of the back and forth knitting. I don't know. But you give me the same amount of yarn and have me make a sweater, and I usually can knock it out. I think because sweaters have, like, they have their parts, you know, like you do your cast on. Usually I do top down sweaters. You do your cast on, you've got your neckband, you do your yoke, and then you get to the real big spot, which is the biggest spot around all of your arms before you sleeve split, and then you have all of those stitches, and then you take 2/3 of them away, or 1/3 of them away, and then you do your body, and then you do your sleeves, and then you're done. But with a shawl, it seems like they exponentially get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's no in between where you get to take away half of your stitches. So maybe that's why I go slower with shawls, because I don't have that break for my brain where I'm like, all right, I just got to get past all of these stitches, and then it's smooth sailing from there. With shawls, it's like, I just got to add more stitches and more stitches and more stitches and more stitches and more stitches, and then I got to bind them all off. I don't know. That's just how my brain works, I guess. I got some cool bags in the mail that I really love. You know, I love project bags, but I had to get these. This just has my yarn living in it. This is what I'm going to bind off that Vertices Unite in. Just pop a green, because all of the other ones, they all have purple in them, you know, like, and I thought that the green would be a great pop of color on there. But that's all living in my Stitching Plaza bag with the Halloween donuts. I saw this bag and I said, I need that. I don't know. I just like these bags a lot. And she's got cool little, like, the Kitchener stitch little thing on there, the Zen of Kitchener stitch, and then I just thought that's cool. Georgia Ann's pretty awesome. You know, and then I've got my Lila Styles bags that I love. I have so many of her bags. So many. Maybe when I get to like 500 subscribers, I'll buy somebody's bag and give it away. So I just like bags, and I think other people like bags too. I got my Beetlejuice bag from Georgia Ann of Stitching Plaza. This has my little Nouveau mitts in it. These guys live in there because it matches. Like, I'm a real big matchy person. Like, if my sweater has a theme, you better bet that my bag is going to match that theme. So, right? There's a theme. The other thing that I have been working on, I am working on cross stitch, which I don't show very often, but I'm working on this cute little Witch's Tea Party. It's a pattern that I got off of Etsy, and it is it's by WitchGarden Crafts. That's her Etsy WitchGarden Crafts. I have purchased so many of her patterns, and I am the slowest cross stitcher because I'm getting that thing where I'm a little older and my eyes don't work as well as they used to. But this is cute so far. It's two little witches. They're having some tea and they're sitting on toadstools, but I'm not done yet. But it's something I do every now and then. And there's the back of my cross stitch. I don't know if I do it right, but I like that everything lines up like that. And then these lines are where I've woven in my ends. I don't know. I just love when they all line up like that. I feel like it makes it look clean. Maybe it's the right way, maybe it's the wrong way, but either way, it's the way that I do it. So, a little bit of cross stitch, a little bit of tatting, a little bit of sock knitting on the circular sock machine. The only thing I haven't done here lately is spinning and weaving. I have been working on a couple of my sweaters. I don't have them over here because really they're not worthy of showing yet. I've just put a few rows in. I've got, you know, the superstitious pullover still going on. I really want to get that one done. That's by Michael Shawn. And I'm doing the one with the Winifred Sanderson, and there's some spiderwebs and bats on there. I'm working on the Montrealer for my husband. I am finally to where I get to do the pocket, which means I will soon be doing the ribbing on the bottom, and then I'll be on sleeve and hood island. I have a lot of sweaters on the needles, and a majority of the ones that are almost done are all past the sleeve split, and I just keep casting things on because I like to cast things on, and eventually they'll all get done. And sometimes I beat myself up about not getting things done, and then I realize that that's dumb because I'm the one putting those time limits on myself. So what's going to happen? Am I going to get grounded? Am I going to get in trouble? No. So I'll just stop casting on when I run out of needles, which is getting to be very soon. I do tell myself that I can't buy any more needles to cast on new things. But Megan Reagan just released her fall sweater collection, and it's got these cute little ghosts on it. They're like big ghosts, and then she's got one where there's like a row of pumpkins, and then there's some fall leaves, and I did buy that pattern, and I really, really, really want to cast it on. But I don't have any needles, so I need to figure out which sweater is on that needle size and finish that one. That's what I need to do. Oh, there's one more thing that I did finish, and then one other thing I wanted to show you. I got some cute stitch markers from my friend Vanessa, and she is awesome. We used to get to sit and knit together. We would have our little like knitting group. I think we called ourselves like the Wicked Stitches or something like that. And we would get together and we'd knit, her and my friend Randy and my grandmother, and it was just when I was learning how to knit, and it was really awesome to have like some cool friends. Anyway, Vanessa has her own website where she sells these awesome stitch markers, and she's called Knitty Witch. And I lost the little cardboard that these were on, and I was going to show you, but I'll put in like her little website up here or something. And she had these cool stitch markers, and I love her stitch markers because they are seamless. So if you ever get a ring jump marker or like a ring stitch marker, and they usually have like a join in them, well, these do not. These are cute, and I got her little food themed sets. There's a pizza and a cupcake, and these rings are amazing. And like these don't, I think they're like high quality metal. There's no seam in these at all, so nothing's gonna snag on your yarn. So I got some pizza and a little cupcake. There's some cute little French fries. It's not gonna focus. Let's see. Put it over where my face is. Maybe that'll work. So there's some French fries and a little milkshake and a pretzel. I don't know. They're just really awesome. So you should go check her out. And I got this cute little tin from her to put them all in, which I love a little Notions tin. And she started her own podcast here recently. She has one where her and her friend Diane, they kind of chit chat about what they're working on. And I always love watching them because it's like I get to hang out with her again, just listening to her chit chat. And so Vanessa's been pretty busy, and her and I have like a very similar aesthetic where we love like bright rainbowy colors, probably because we were born in the same year. So she's working on her Stephen West, the MCal from last year, the Slip Stravaganza. She's got it encased in black with bright rainbow pops, and she's like almost done with it, and I'm just like, if I was going to make one, that's what mine would look like, but I'm not going to make one because that's like, I don't know, isn't there like 950 stitches or something at the end of that? But anyway, she has her own podcast. She's just like on episode 2. You should go check her out. She's pretty awesome, and I love her, and I miss her, and someday we'll get together again. But check her out, and then I just wanted to show you one other thing I made. I made a scrunchie. I made a cute little scrunchie. Aquila from the Lefty Knitter was making some scrunchies, and she was sharing them with us, and I said, oh, I have this yarn, and it is called Bamboo Pop Sock, and it's by Universal, and it's cotton, bamboo, and PBT, and it's a very stretchy yarn. And PBT is basically a fancy nylon, if I remember. It's like antimicrobial or something, but it's a very stretchy yarn, and I made Bobby a pair of socks out of it a long time ago, and I said, oh, I bet that would make a really great scrunchie because it's stretchy. And so I just cranked a tube that's about 30 rows long, and then I turned it inside out, put the hair elastic around it, and then pulled the two ends together and just Kitchenered all the way around that. And then I have this cool scrunchie. So I put it inside out so that I could Kitchener it the right direction. It's not inside out now. It's stocking it side out. But yeah, so that's fun. Scarlett is excited because, you know, scrunchies are back. For me, they never went away. I have always had scrunchies and always just put my hair up in them. Not in public necessarily, but definitely at home. My hair is always in a scrunchie. So yeah. So she's excited because they're popular, and then I can do them in some cool fun yarns. Aquila did hers, and she did a cool, I think she did like a hung hem and then stitched it together in a certain manner. Check her out. She's bound to have it on her episode this week. But so that's all I've got for now. That's all I've got. I mean, I just unloaded a whole slew of things on you. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you all for checking me out. And so I needed to pick a winner from a few episodes ago. I drew a winner, and I gave that person a chance to get a hold of me, and it was like, it's been 2 months since that, and they haven't gotten a hold of me. So I did a YouTube comment picker, and I picked a new winner, and that winner is Kim Stinson. So get a hold of me and let me know that you saw this, and I will get you your yarn. Take it one stitch at a time, because that's all you can do.